It's Marty E. Welcome back to the channel if you're a subscriber, and just welcome if you're new to the channel. I've been promising a Phantom video for about 4 weeks now. I was planning on doing something a little bit more elaborate, but life got in the way, so we're just going to do an overview like we've been doing. The Lionel Phantom is a very unique engine, TMCC, pull-more motor, and Lionel created quite a backstory for it. I'm going to read this this is a blurb from the catalog when it first came out. And this is the backstory of the Phantom. By the 1920s, the automobile was steadily growing in popularity as a means of transporting passengers and hauling freight. It was clear that this revolution would threaten the railroad industry. In Pratt's Hollow, Missouri, a clandestine group of professional railroad designers secretly collaborated to develop a modern locomotive that would triumph over the automobile by employing many new technologies in the design of railroad equipment. To the Pratt's Hollow group, efficiency was paramount in competing with the auto industry, but not at the expense of style. Until the designs were completed and patented, these new ideas were carefully guarded from the public knowledge. Mysteriously, this never happened. So kind of a cool setup for the Phantom. All in all, there were 5 Phantom locomotives produced with passenger cars. The gray is Phantom 1. That came out in the 1998 catalog with a 4-car add-on set. Phantom 2 was the same, but this was a yellow and red paint scheme. The engine came out in the 2002, actually it came out in the 1999 preview catalog, and then the passenger cars were in the 2002 Volume 2 catalog, along with the Silver Phantom, which was also in the 2002 or 2003 Volume 2 catalog. So the silver one was in both the 2002 and 2003 Volume 2 catalog. Finally, a green Phantom was introduced 5 years later in the 2008 Volume 1 catalog. And the latest run of the Phantom was released as a ready-to-run set in the 2016 Ready-to-Run catalog. And this was made up to be a Batman train. Gotham City had some unique quotes from the Batman comics, and pretty interesting. But we're here to talk about the original. This was kind of an impulse buy for me, and it was Craig on the forum that originally got me interested in this. I found the engine, I can't remember where. I found the 4-car set at A.B. Charles here in Western Pennsylvania, when they used to be up in Dormont on West Liberty Avenue. So before we run it, why don't we take the cover off and do a little lubrication. We did do some preview runs, but I want to make sure everything is fine inside. So let's take it over to the bench. But we're going to open it up, we're going to grease the motor, we're going to oil the armature, and then we'll oil the wheel sets. And I'll try to keep my hands out of the way the best I can when we're showing that. And then we'll get the Phantom on the track. So I'm going to go ahead and take the shell off. There's a couple connections, nothing big, and we'll go from there. Alright, got the shell off, and now I'm going to remove the engine, the motor. As you can see, this still has the battery connector, which I don't use. So we're going to pull the motor off and make sure that our grease is in good shape, and if it's not, we'll just replace it. There's the screw. Flip the truck over. There's the grease. I'm going to clean some of that out and maybe put on some new grease. So for this, I'm going to pull out a Q-tip, pull out some of that older grease. I mean, it's not in bad shape, but it's a little goopy. Nylon gears. I hate nylon gears, but some trains had them, and that's just the way it is. Not much we can do about that. So, got a lot of this out. Not sure you can see that very well, but trying to get most of the grease out of the pit. There's a little pit in there that the gear from the motor sits on. And spin the truck, spin the wheels on the truck. Just really clean that up the best I can. And then we'll add some more grease. Careful that the pickup wire doesn't come detached. Gotta kind of keep it under control there. But just about got it all out, or as much out as it's going to come. And on the bottom of the motor, we're going to take that off as well. You don't want to leave anything around. You want to try to get as much off as you can. And make sure you got a clean start. You're gonna hear the furnace kick on. Not much I can do about that. It's cold up here in the western PA. Scrape out any old grease. Just set that motor in there. And I think we got most of it out. I'm going to wipe this truck down a little bit. Get some of the lingering grease out of there. And then I think I put my grease over here in my cabinet. I'm going to use some white Teflon. I either use this or I use red and tacky, but my red and tacky's in the garage, so we're just going to go ahead and fill it up with this. Just get a nice amount. I don't like to overdo it, but at the same time you don't want to underdo it. I'm just going to put a little bit on the motor itself. Put this back together, pull the wire up through, make sure everything gets seated. Might have to spin the trucks to get the motor to set. Here we go. Put the screw back in. Trying to keep this in view. I'm hoping I'm doing an all right job because I really can't see. Magnetized trucks are always fun to work with. All right, there we go. Alright, I'm also going to check the grease that's on the gears outside here. Right along here, I'm going to just try to get some of that off. Doesn't appear to be too bad, but we'll put just a hair more of the good newer stuff on. A little bit of fuzz there. Get that out of there. You don't want to contaminate the gears with the, there we go, with the fuzz from the Q-tip. And we'll just work that through there. Looks like I got a little bit on the wheel. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and put the shell back on after I put a drop or two of oil right here on the end of the armature. So here we go. 1, 2. You don't need a lot of oil there, just enough to get it set. So I'm going to go ahead and off camera put the shell back on, and then we'll finish the lubrication process of oiling the axles when we get the shell back on, so we're not running anything up against the electronics. But as you can see, basic rail sans package, early TMCC rail sans, Pullmore motor, a couple capacitors on there for noise suppression, one pickup or 2 pickup rollers, and I don't know if you can see right there, there's a sensor for speed, so it knows when to run up the RPMs. So I'm going to go ahead and put the shell back on, and we'll get back right after we do that. Alright, we got the shell back on. That went relatively smooth. Got the connections hooked back up from the shell to the main board. Mainly you got the antenna connection and the lighting package connection. So now I'm just going to finish it off by oiling the axles. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil between the gear and the axle, right on the axle shaft. I'm trying to stay out of our way so you can see this, and I'll lift it up. I'm just going to put a slight amount on the pickup roller just to give it a little bit of extra spin, and on the back, just inside the axle, where the axle meets the truck, and a little just on the pickup roller, just to give it a little bit of freedom to roll so it doesn't bind. And that's pretty much the lubrication process. Now I want to show you something here. Let me put the cradle down, and I'll use my watch as a guide. But you might notice the green tie wrap. This wasn't known for couplers staying shut, so basically green tie wrap that. Never really did stay shut, and so that's what I did. And in reality, I'm never uncoupling them. And you got the rail sans switch between full rail sans and signal sans. So full rail sounds, signal sounds, we go with full, and the run program switch and a volume control, and that is probably about 3/4 up. Couple pickup rollers, again, as I said, you got the front truck and the rear truck, so it doesn't really have any problems transversing switches and stuff. So let's go ahead and put it on the track now that we got it lubricated and ready to go. The wheels and the pickup rollers look pretty clean, so I'm going to leave those alone. So let's get the Phantom back on the rails. Okay, as I said in the introduction, the Phantom was just like a concept engine that Lionel came up with. They came up with a pretty good backstory, like I read also in the introduction. So there's really not much to point out on this engine. I mean, it does have the futuristic turbine looking Batman-ish kind of thing, which ironically, as I mentioned, it did become a Batman ready to run set in a former life. There's, you know, your typical headlight. There is some red, there is some light in there. It's kind of hard to see unless the lights are on, and of course all the passenger cars. Now, a couple of complaints that I had with this is the couplers on the engine and the set never really did stay closed, as you saw after we got done lubricating the engine, the tie wraps that I placed on it, and pretty much on all the cars I have those tie wraps. The other thing is, and this is, you know, just nitpicking, the end of the car, engine here is kind of squared off, and then all the cars are kind of rounded. I really would have liked the cars to have more matched the profile, at least the three cars in between the observation car and the engine to more match the profile of the engine, and then have the observation car rounded off. But other than that, Pullmore motor, TMCC, a really great little package. And while we get it running here and get things moving. Alright, it's already in my legacy remote as engine 62. It's set up as a diesel, TMCC, and rail sounds. So let's go ahead and start her up and listen to some of these cool, you could say futuristic, sci-fi type effects. So it kind of has a whining, turbine-y sound. Kind of futuristic spaceship. The horn to me kind of is a banshee type horn, kind of like a scream. And the bell is kind of like a klaxon that you might hear on some sci-fi alarm, ship alarms. So that being done, I already set a stall voltage, and as a reminder, stall voltage for Pullmore motors pretty much sets the starting voltage for the Pullmore motor, so that when you crack the dial on your remote, the starting voltage for that motor is already applied, so you're not spinning the dial per se. So let's go ahead and move it out. So I'm going to do some video of this running in the light so you can kind of see the cars, and then I think what I'm going to do is turn off the lights, bring them down, dim them out, and then you can see the better lighting in the passenger cars, because it really doesn't come through. It's kind of like a darker green to give it that sci-fi look. So let's get her started and just do some light running in the with the lights on, and then we'll do some running with the lights out. Just as a side note, this only had magnet traction. A lot of folks complained it had a lack of pulling power, but I've never had that issue. On the later models, I believe starting with the Silver Phantom 3, Lionel added a traction tire to help in pulling. Wouldn't mind Lionel making one of these in Legacy. Maybe a little bit better than the Ready to Run set as they did as the Batman. But we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, again, thank you for tuning in. If you liked the video, please push the thumbs up like button. Always leave comments. I love it when you guys leave comments and I enjoy answering them. And if you're not a subscriber, please think about joining in. I try to do a video every week, maybe every 2 weeks. And I got enough material here without buying anything new that we can go over. And every now and then we just look at the layout. So until next time, thanks and happy railroading.